Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Opt-in Monster webinar, How to Build a Six-Figure Email List in Less Than an Hour Without Needing a Coder or a Graphic Designer. My name's Angie. We're going to go ahead and get started right at the top of the hour because I really appreciate you taking your time today, early in the week, to spend an hour here with us here at Opt-in Monster. And I want to make sure that we honor that time. So we're going to go ahead and get started right now at the top of the hour. Again, thank you for coming to the webinar today. I hope that you're doing well. My name is Angie Meeker. I am Director of Customer Success here at Opt-in Monster. My entire job is to make sure that people know how to increase leads and conversions using Opt-in Monster. If you're here today, it's possible that maybe this is not the first email marketing webinar that you've ever been to. Is this the first one you've been to? Go ahead and just let me know over in the comments. Because what I see a lot of times is that folks come to an email marketing webinar like this, and they sit through the whole thing. They get really excited about what they've heard, and then they go home and they don't execute on anything that they've learned. And so then what happens is that they get discouraged. They say, the stuff that I learned today, it was too much for me. I was a little bit overwhelmed by it. I didn't implement what I learned. And so what happens is that because you don't implement what you learn in the webinar, then you don't see the results that you came for in the first place. And because you didn't see results, then you get more disappointed. And eventually what happens is that you say, oh, I still need those results. I better go attend another email marketing webinar. And it's just kind of this like vicious cycle of learning without implementing. And the end result of that is you thinking maybe this isn't for you. Maybe it's only for the great big companies that have dedicated people on their team for email marketing and lots of money that they can throw at lead generation and email campaigns and things like that. And I want you to know that that is not true. The reason that you didn't implement the stuff that you've learned before is because you felt overwhelmed by it. And that's not going to happen today. The things that we're going to talk about today are simple and entirely actionable. And I know that you're awesome. I know that you have something really important, whether it's a product or a service that you offer to the world, and you need help getting it out to them. That's why you're here today. And that's why we're here, is to help you do that. If you're here today, you're probably one of two types of people. You're either a new publisher or a new blogger or a new store owner, or you're someone who you've been doing this for quite a while. You already have some experience. If you're the first person, if you're new at this, then this webinar is going to give you direction on how you get started on the right foot growing your email list. And if you've already got some experience under your belt, this webinar is going to give you momentum for how to really swing into building your list and growing it. My promise to you today, if you'll stick with me through the whole webinar, is that the only way to grow a six-figure list is with behavioral targeting, and that the best and easiest tool for behavioral targeting is Opt-in Monster. And maybe right this minute, you don't even know what behavioral targeting is, and that's totally okay. Before we jump into that, though, I have someone I want you to meet. This is Syed. Syed is the founder of Opt-in Monster, and many, many years ago, long before Opt-in Monster existed, he had a company building HTML websites for clients. As a matter of fact, this was even before WordPress and Drupal and Shopify and Squarespace, Wix, those sorts of things even existed. He was building straight HTML websites. WordPress came along and he decided to move his customers to WordPress because it was easier for them to manage their updates themselves. As he did that, though, his customers started asking questions like, what's a plugin? What's a theme? How do I add a picture? How do I change the menu? How do I change a color? What plugin should I use? And he was getting these same questions over and over and over again. Rather than answer those same questions over and over and over again for every client via email or on the phone or in person, he decided to gather those questions, put them on one website, and he could just direct his customers to that question on the website. That website became WPBeginner.com. Now, WP Beginner in the beginning was literally just that website for his clients. It has since grown into the world's largest resource for WordPress education. He has over 600,000 subscribers on his list for WP Beginner. And as he was growing WP Beginner, he knew he needed to build his email list. That was the only way he was going to be able to keep in touch with people who were interested in WordPress without having them have to come back to the site all the time. But there was a problem. all of these people visiting his site, they're very different types of people. Famous bloggers, affiliate marketers, theme designers, big name brands, news publishers, mommy bloggers, plugin developers, all of these people, pretty much anyone who was using WordPress was visiting WP Beginner for information. And each of those people have very different goals in mind, very different needs when they're coming to the website. And that was a challenge for Syed at the time, because he knew that he could add a very generic subscription box to his sidebar and allow anyone to subscribe to his email list. But the person who's learning how to install WordPress on their site is a very different person than the one who's learning how to duplicate the WordPress database using PHPMyAdmin. Those two people are at very different places in their journey with WordPress software as it may be. And the person who's learning to duplicate the database, they probably would not like to get content that's geared towards beginners about how to install WordPress or how to insert an image, because they're further along than that. But at the time, there was no way to segment those two groups of people into the email list. There was just this generic add everyone to the same list subscription form. To solve that problem, he also knew that he had this problem that he needed to solve too. 70% of visitors who came to the website, and this is still true today, it was true years ago, it's still true today, 70% of visitors who come to a website leave without taking any action. They don't buy anything, they don't subscribe, they don't submit a contact form, they come and they leave. And that's a huge problem. All of those people coming to the site, no way to segment them, no way to keep people from leaving. And so to solve those problems, Syed created OptinMonster. OptinMonster is the world's leading lead generation software available today, and he created it to solve this problem that he had for himself. Now, you might not need to create the world's largest WordPress resource database. Maybe you don't even publish content in that same way. Maybe you're a store owner or a tax accountant or a bakery, but you have the same problem. The people coming to your site need to see the right message and the right offer at the right time. And the way to do that is with behavioral targeting. Behavioral targeting personalizes campaigns based on the actions readers take on your website. And you might look at this and say, Angie, that already feels a little bit complicated, and that's okay. I don't expect you right now to know what behavioral targeting is, because that's not your job. You're a baker, you're an accountant, you sell shoes, you're a travel blogger. It's not your job right this moment to know what behavioral targeting is. So as we go through the webinar, I'm going to help you understand more of how you'll use behavioral targeting to grow your email list. Behavioral targeting is personal. It works because it treats every person who comes to your site as an individual human. Every person who comes to your site has a specific reason they came to your site and a specific goal in mind when they come to your site. And that's different for every single person who comes to your site. Behavioral targeting is scalable. It works for the site that has 10 visitors a month, or 100, or 100,000, or 100 million. And we know, because we have all of that range of customer, using OptinMonster every day. And behavioral targeting works for everyone. It works for the bakery, for the tax accountant, for the e-commerce store, for the news publisher. No matter what type of website you have, behavioral targeting works for you because it's personal. Here's an example. Michael Stelzner from Social Media Examiner, he increased his list 66% using behavioral targeting. And what he did was he added what we call an exit intent opt-in, which appears when the visitor's mouse motions up towards the browser bar, which is a really clear indication that that person's about to leave. Think about it. If you're visiting a website and you take your mouse up to the upper left, what are you doing? You're going to open a new tab. You're going to go to another website, or you're going to close the website that you're on. So that motion of going up this way, that behavior, is a very good indication that that person's about to leave the website. And what he did was he created an offer and displayed it right at that time. That offer was for a discount to a conference he was about to host. And by doing that, he increased his list 66%. 66% of people said, I want that discount for that conference, even as they were getting ready to leave. They were about to leave and not do anything, and instead they ended up on his email list because he made an offer that was valuable to them. That's just one example of behavioral targeting. In the rest of the webinar, we're going to cover these three secrets of six-figure list building, which are secret number 1, opt-in hacking. How to get readers practically begging you to let them on your list instead of annoying them with a bunch of irrelevant pop-ups. Secret number 2, opt-in monster. How to clone proven targeted opt-ins in less than 5 minutes. And secret number 3, behavioral targeting, which we've already started talking about. How to explode your list by going smaller and not bigger. That sound like a plan? All right, so here's the thing. For the rest of the webinar, if you have questions along the way, go ahead, please drop them over in the comments on the right side or in the question box. I will answer them at the end of the webinar. I'm not going to have the chat open as I'm presenting because, frankly, it's a little bit distracting to me. I want to jump in and chat with you, and it takes my focus away from the content itself. So, all right, let's get started talking about these 3 secrets of six-figure list building. Secret number 1, opt-in hacking. How to get readers practically begging you to let them on your list. Have you ever had this happen to you? You go into a retail store, like a clothing store or a shoe store, and the minute that you walk into the store, the clerk is in your face. Hi, is there anything I can help you with today? And for me, that's kind of annoying when they do that. It kind of makes me want to just immediately say no to them and walk away from them. And here's why. It's because they didn't even stop to ask me or to watch what I was doing, right? So they just sort of got in your face as soon as you got there. And when they do that, their motivation is to make a sale. It's not really to be helpful. If they wanted to be really helpful, here's what they do. They'd watch to see, do I go to diapers or do I go over by canoes? If I go to diapers, what am I doing there? Then they could come over to diapers with me and they could say, hi, I noticed that you're looking for diapers. Is there a particular size that you're looking for today? Are you happy with your current diaper? Are you shopping for you, or is it a gift for someone else? As opposed to going over to canoes, where those questions would be very different. This paying attention to the behaviors of the shopper feels more personal to me and makes it to where I'm much more likely to make a sale with the assistance of that salesperson. Now, the thing is, that sort of annoying behavior, it happens in a brick and mortar store, but it also happens online. And here's how it happens. When a person is first getting started collecting leads for their email list, here's what they typically do. They create a single lightbox opt-in. That's the kind that kind of appears right in the middle of the page and blocks out the rest of the content, kind of grays out the content behind it. They create a single lightbox opt-in and they set it to appear immediately when the visitor comes to the site. And that opt-in says something along the lines of, subscribe to my list for news and updates. And that's the equivalent of that retail clerk getting in your face the second you walk in the store and saying, hi, is there anything I can help you with today? It does not at all consider the needs of your visitor. It is very focused on you. It doesn't even explain to them why they should join your list. It doesn't do any of those things. But there's a better way. That better way is to trade value with what's called a lead magnet. A lead magnet is anything valuable that you present to your visitor in exchange for their email address. A lot of times we see this as an ebook or a white paper or maybe a checklist or a video course, a webinar like this, a free consultation or a coupon, or even like graphics and downloads. Pretty much anything that you can give to your visitor that is related to the content they're viewing and is valuable to them can be a lead magnet and encourages them to trade their email address for whatever that piece of value is. And that is a step forward. It is the first best step for you. If you're getting started growing your list or you're looking for how to grow it even more, it's the next best thing for you to do. Instead of just having generic opt-ins on your site that say subscribe to my list for tips and updates, the next best thing is for you to trade value with a lead magnet. But there's an even better way than that. And that way is behavioral targeting. Behavioral targeting personalizes campaigns based on the actions readers take on your website. Here's some examples. Trading Strategy Guides is a website about various trading methods, investment trading. They increased subscribers 17% using a method called content locking. And here's how they did it. They had an article on their website about the best Bitcoin trading strategies, 5 simple steps. And they realized over time that this article was the most visited article on their website. So they said, we know already that people are very interested in the value that we're providing in this article. Let's see if we can turn that value into a lead magnet. And here's what they did. They created a campaign in OptinMonster, and they targeted it to appear only on this particular article. See, this exactly matches when the URL is the URL of the Bitcoin trading article. And this opt-in is an inline opt-in, and everything below it is blurred out. So this campaign appears directly in this blog article. And right before you get to the 5 easy steps that you can follow today for new and profitable Bitcoin trading strategy, right before you get to the juiciest part in the article is this opt-in. And you can't see those 5 juicy steps down below until you add your email address to that opt-in. Once you do that, then the content below that is currently blurred out becomes available for you to read. The great thing about this strategy is that everyone who subscribes through this opt-in on this article gets tagged in their email marketing platform as being interested in Bitcoin trading. So then from there on, whenever they have new content about Bitcoin, they can email that segment or group or tag in their list. They can email those articles directly to them because they know that everyone who opted through that opt-in is interested in Bitcoin trading. They don't have to send them information about traditional stock trading because they may not be interested in it. Or they can try and see how it goes. They may be able to test related content, but they know for sure that this segment in their list is interested in Bitcoin trading. And here's why it's important. MailChimp says that segmented lists like this convert and perform 30% better than lists that are just where everyone's just lumped into one great big list. So the more that you can look at your users and your audience and your content and begin to segment people into different groups based on their interest, the better your overall list will perform for you, not just on the back end, not just on the actions that you're asking them to take in your list, but also on the front end, getting people to subscribe to your list in the first place. Here's how another company did it. U.S. Student Loan Center increased sales 10% using what we call 2-step opt-ins. And you may have seen these around the internet. This is just a quick sketch of what it might look like. Yes, I'd like to learn more is one button, and no, I know everything is another button. If you click on yes, I'd like to learn more, it launches the Lightbox opt-in that has your opt-in form in it. If you click no, it simply closes the campaign altogether. This style of opt-in, this 2 steps where the first step is the visitor saying, yes, I'd like to take an action. And then the second step is where they actually add their email address. That 2-step opt-in typically converts better than if you just showed the opt-in form itself on that first view. And here's why. Because it relies on a principle called a psychology principle called the Zeigarnik effect. Now, the Zeigarnik effect says that as humans, we are hardwired to want to complete the actions that we start. We want to wrap up all the loose ends. And so when this visitor starts the action and says, yes, I'd like to learn more, that visitor is more likely to then complete the action on the other side of that click than the person who just saw the form in the first place. And that totally proved true for U.S. Student Loan Center. They increased sales 10% using 2-step opt-ins like this. So let's take a look at those actual campaigns so that you can see how they did it. This campaign was in their sidebar, and in this case, actually, they didn't even need the no button. In OptinMonster, you can choose just to use a single button, or you can use 2 buttons, and in this case, they just needed 1. It's still a 2-step opt-in because the visitor clicks, yes, I want access, and then it opens up the opt-in for the definitive guide to qualifying for student loan forgiveness. This campaign in the sidebar converted 2.6% of visitors. Now, I can hear you already through the screen saying 2.6, that's not great. Angie. I was expecting something much bigger, but it's still good. And let me tell you why. Because that sidebar position, it's been around since email marketing's been around, basically. I mean, if you think about it, every website that has a sidebar, you go over and at the very top of that sidebar is the email opt-in. And that position on a website, visitors have become sort of blind to it over the years. And so what's important to know is that that position typically is not going to perform as well as other positions on your website. And that's okay. The average visitor to your site needs to see an offer 7 times before they're prepared mentally to make a decision about it. Now, you don't have to present that offer the same exact way every single time using the same words or the same images, but they need to see the offer multiple times before they're ready to make an offer. I mean, a decision. And that's exactly what the Student Loan Center did. So this one campaign was over in the sidebar. But then they also added an exit intent campaign. And that's what we talked about, where the campaign appears just as the mouse is moving up towards the browser as if they're leaving. The same offer, do you want to know if you qualify for student loan forgiveness? If they click yes, it opens the campaign. That opt-in converted 4.26% of visitors. Now, what you need to know is that on average, across opt-in software, whether it's Opt-in Monster or some other software similar to ours, opt-ins, and no matter what the type, so whether it's a sidebar or a light box or a full screen or however you choose to collect your opt-ins, the average conversion rate is between about 1.5% and at the high end 3%. So to be seeing 4.26% or even higher, as you'll see in a moment, is quality. That's good work on their part. And maybe even more importantly is that this 4.26% of visitors who are now on their list and moving down their sales funnel, they were going to leave. They were on their way out, right? These were captured at exit intent. So these are people who were getting ready to leave, and now instead they've taken an action and were added to the site. So they went one step further, though. They wanted to do even better. So they added what we call a monster link, which is an image, like a graphic or a button or a text link directly within the content of an article or a page that when you click it, it opens up the opt-in form. So again, this is another type of a two-step campaign. The person who clicks this image is more likely to then complete the opt-in form on the other side of it. And 34% of visitors who clicked this image within an article then completed the opt-in form. And that's how they grew their sales 10%, is by adding more people to their list in the first place. Then that adds more leads for them that they can convert down the road. Secret number 1. This was, readers will add themselves. They will add themselves to your list willingly when you give them a choice in the matter. Each one of these examples that we've talked about so far lets the visitor decide, do I want to be on your list? Is what you're sharing with me valuable enough that I want to join your list? And they take the initiative to join your list. When they do that, they're more likely to convert to join your list than if you just shove a generic join my list for updates and tips pop up in their face as soon as they hit your website. Readers will add themselves to your list willingly when you give them a choice in the matter. Does that sound better than just shoving a pop-up in their face? Generic, has nothing to do with them. It does. It sounds a lot better to me. Secret number 2, Opt-in Monster. How to clone proven targeted opt-ins in less than 5 minutes. So now that you understand how you can get readers to join your list, let's talk about what you use to get them to join your list, which is Opt-in Monster. All over the internet, you see opt-in forms. This is Health Magazine up in the left, BuzzFeed, Black Friday, Runner's World. These are just a few examples, just quick ones that I grabbed, just to show that all sorts of types of businesses are using email marketing opt-ins, and they do it because email marketing returns typically $38 for every dollar spent on email marketing. So the big name brands, even as they move into social, they always come back to email marketing. Everything falls back to the email because it's what performs the best. So what I want to do now is show you how you can use Opt-in Monster to quickly build campaigns that are just as beautiful as these really quickly without needing a coder or graphic designer. So I'm going to share my screen real quick, and just really quickly, you'll see like this, you'll see a glimpse of me as we share it, and you'll see the inception of a couple of screens on top of each other. Okay, what you should be seeing now is the inbox game plan. This is just a website that we have for a holiday webinar. And this is Opt-in Monster, the dashboard. What we're going to do is we're going to create a campaign. Now, once you start using Opt-in Monster, this process will go even faster than it is when I'm designing right now because I'm stopping to explain things along the way. But once you get into the groove of using it, you'll be able to launch campaigns very quickly. So we're going to create a campaign. And just really quickly, there are a couple different types of campaigns that you can use in Opt-in Monster. We're going to create a pop-up campaign, but you could create a full screen, which takes over the full height and width of your screen, sometimes also called a welcome mat. A slide in that appears just on the bottom right or the bottom left of your screen, oftentimes used to present chat or contact forms. Floating bars at the very top or the very bottom of your site across the whole width of your site. Very good for offering, we see a lot of times breaking news alerts or flash sales. Coupon codes will be presented in those a lot. And then inline campaigns that appear directly within the content. So inline campaigns can be used for sidebars, footers. They can be added directly within your blog content multiple times throughout an article or on your product pages. And then we have a number of pre-designed proven templates that you can use. You can see each one of these, and each one of these, like I said, it's pre-designed, but once you get into Opt-in Monster, you can edit these to your heart's content using our drag and drop builder. And if you want to create an entirely custom opt-in, then you can use this Canvas template to do that. It's just basically a blank screen. So today I want to use the, let's use the let's use Flash. I love it so much. Let's use that. And actually, I'll show you what it looks like before we even get into it. So this is a preview of what this campaign would look like. It has an image on the left side, some text about the sale, and it has a countdown timer and then the email box. So that's what we're going to get in and customize. We'll use this template. Let's call it Demo Flash. And then I'm going to choose the site that I want this to appear on as Inbox Game Plan, and we'll start building. And again, if you have any questions along the way, go ahead and drop them over in the comments. And when we get to the end of the webinar, I promise I will answer any questions that you have. So the first thing that I want to do is change out this image. And I do that just by clicking on it and then selecting to replace image. Now I know the image that I want to use, I've actually uploaded it to this account before, so I'm just going to select it here, but you could select any image from your computer if your image wasn't already here. So I'm going to use that image and see already that looks really lovely. And let's change over here. So let's just change this to say flash sale. We'll say limited time. Oh, we're already saying that, aren't we? Okay, let's say coming soon. How's that? Coming soon, 50% off, all snowflakes. All snowflakes, sorry. Now, most of this is going to look very familiar to you. If you've used any word processor or text editor, this will make sense for you. You can bold items, italic, underline, strike through. You can make any text a link just by selecting that link icon. You can align your images, make them ordered list or unordered. You can change the color of any content with the color picker. You can add emojis. You can change the font or the font size there. And then we have some settings down here for the font weight. Like if we wanted to make that thicker, you can do that. If you wanted to change the line height or the letter spacing, and if you want to make all of your text there uppercase or lowercase, you can do that there too. And then the next thing that I want to show you is that you can take any of these blocks and just move them up and down, move them around as you'd like, just by grabbing them and dragging them. So as you can see, the pre-built templates in Opt-in Monster are quite easy to get in and just start changing. And so let's say that this was a real offer that we were making, and we want to set the countdown timer to let's say today is, let's get down to October. Let's say that we wanted to set this timer to stop on October 31st, which is tomorrow, and we wanted to stop at midnight. Now, the point of having a countdown timer is to add urgency. Anytime that you add urgency to your offer, it's going to convert a bit better for you because the visitor is afraid of missing out on that offer. So we've done that. We've adjusted. So far, we've added an image. We've adjusted some of the text. We've moved it around. Now let's tell our campaign what we want to happen when someone converts this button. So here's our button. We're going to click on button and then action, because that's what we're doing. We're telling this opt-in, when someone clicks this button, what action do we want to take? Now you have several options here. You can go to another view. So in this case, you could direct to the success view, and I'll show you how to make that look just like the other view in just a moment. You can direct to a success view. Let me get back to where we were. You can also redirect to another URL. So when a visitor converts this opt-in, when they add their email address there, you can go to the success view, or you can take them to another URL altogether. So maybe you have an upsell page on your website already that you want to direct them to after they convert this opt-in. You can do that. Maybe you just want to close the campaign, or you want to reload the page. You can do any of those things using OptinMonster just by setting the action in the button. In this case, we're going to leave it just like it is. We're going to come over to the success view though, and you can do one of two things. You can come in and make some of those same changes. So in this case, like add image, and then go ahead and customize this text, or you can also come in, and if you just delete all of this content that's here already, then you can say that you want to import the layout from the opt-in view, and it's going to bring over everything except for the conversion element. So in this case, that was the form. But if you were using a single button like the U.S. Student Loan Center was, it would not bring over that button for you, because that's what has the conversion already on it. So you don't need that on the success view. So here's where you can say thank you, check your email address, or here's your coupon code right in that success view. So what we've done so far, just in 5 quick minutes, we've changed an image, we've changed the text, we've readjusted the text, we've added urgency, we've told our campaign where we want it to go. I'm going to go ahead and save my changes here, and we'll move on. So if the design tab is where you design your campaign, the display rules is where you tell your campaign where, when, and for whom it's allowed to display. So the display rules contain all of the conditions that we offer for triggering campaigns. In this case, I'm going to say that the campaign can display on any URL on the site. But again, if you needed it to display only on one specific category or piece of content, you could do that just by saying that it exactly matches this URL or contains this URL structure. Lots of rules here for you to use. I'm just showing you one example here. And then the time on page is at least 5 seconds. That's the default rule. I want to change that to the distance scrolled. So we're going to say if the visitor has scrolled at least 50% of the page and they're on any page of the website, then the campaign can display. So I'm going to save that. And we'll go to the next step. The next step is to say, when this campaign first appears, which of those views do you want to display? In this case, we're going to display the opt-in view. But if we were using a campaign that had both a yes and a no button, and we had that feature turned on, you'd also see that here. And that would be the view that you would want to display first. So when the campaign appeared, you display the yes-no view, and then that yes-no view, when the yes button was clicked, it would go to the opt-in view. We're not doing that in this case, so we're just going to leave it the opt-in view. And then we'll go to next step, which is the summary. If the distance scrolled is at least 50% and the visitor's on any page of the site, then show the opt-in view, which is great. That's exactly what we want to do. And then we'll go to integrations. Now, the form that you have in your campaign needs a place to send those leads. OptinMonster itself does not store your leads. We integrate with most every email marketing platform to pass those leads along to your list. So what I want to do is add an integration. And you can see here's a list of pretty much every major marketing platform mentioned. And I'm going to choose MailChimp. If your platform is not one of our native integrations, you can still use OptinMonster. You would create your form in your email marketing platform and embed that form using our custom HTML element. If you need help figuring out your integration with OptinMonster, just reach out to support. That's why we are here. We want to help you be able to do that. But for most platforms, we already have a neat, simple integration. So I'm going to choose the specific list within my MailChimp account. I'm going to leave the double opt-in on. But you could always turn that off if you wanted to. And if you had any segments or groups or tags in your email marketing platform, those would appear here. I don't have any for this particular list, so that's why they're not appearing there. So now, whenever anyone adds their email address through this form, it will pass through to the corresponding list in my email marketing platform. The next to last thing that we want to do is connect our Google Analytics account to OptinMonster, which allows us to measure how many times did this campaign appear on your site and how many people converted it. We'll show you that information directly in OptinMonster. Then you can go into Google Analytics and use those same events to really report more in-depth information directly within Google Analytics. So I'm going to select my Google Analytics account and then select the actual list or website profile that I want to use here. And it's that simple. Save that before we move on. And here's the thing. When you're using OptinMonster, you don't have to save every single time that you make a change. We auto save for you. Just save before you get ready to leave. Don't leave the app without saving. But I've noticed that I click really quickly and sometimes I click out before I've saved. So you don't have to save quite so often. All right, the next thing that we want to do is publish this campaign. So right now the campaign itself is paused. It's not allowed to appear on the website. One, because it's paused, but also because we haven't added our embed code to the website where we want this to appear. Now, once we add this embed code to our website, we don't have to add it again for any other campaigns. This one script covers every use of OptinMonster on this domain. So I'm going to highlight this and copy it. And it needs to go just before the closing body tag of your website template file. The example I'm going to show you right now is on WordPress, and I'm going to show you how to add this code without actually getting into the code of your templates, because I know a lot of people are really uncomfortable with that. If you're comfortable getting into your templates, great, go ahead and do that. And again, I'm going to show you for WordPress because it's the most popular CMS in the world, but we have documentation for pretty much every major HTML website platform out there, showing you where do you go directly within Shopify to add this code? Where do you go in Squarespace? Where do you go in Drupal? Any of those platforms we have documentation for, and many more. The only platform I have found in the 4 years that I've worked here that we have not been able to integrate with is Wix. And that's on their end, not ours. We would love to integrate with Wix, but it's simply not possible at this time. So if you need help working out this integration, again, contact support. We love to work with people, work through this, make sure they get this added. It is probably, this one step is the biggest rub for people when they're getting started with OptinMonster, but it doesn't have to be. I'll show you quite how simple it is right now. So we've copied this. We're going to come over to this website, the Inbox Game Plan, and I've added a plugin to this website that we created here at, technically it was WP Beginner, but WP Beginner is one of our companies. So we created this. It's free. It's called Insert Headers and Footers, and you can find it in the WordPress plugin repository. And what it does is allow you to add scripts to your header and to your footer without having to get into your templates to do that. Now, a lot of people, if they get into the templates, you may know that, one little quotation mark or bracket, if you miss one little piece, then your template will break and you have to go back in and fix it. So this lets you add scripts without having to mess around with that. And the great thing about that is that you can add your OptinMonster script here, but you can also add like your Facebook pixel or your Google Webmaster Tools confirmation. You can add that here. Any scripts that need to go in your header or footer, you can add here. So we're going to go ahead and add that into the insert headers and footers settings, and we'll save that. Now, I know that I have some pretty strict caching on this website, so I'm going to go and refresh it a couple times just to try to get that caching to break. And then we need to come back to our campaign and just set it to live. So before it was paused, we added the embed code. Now the embed code is there, which gives the opt-in permission to display anywhere on that site that the display will say it can. So we're going to come back and set the opt-in to live and save it. Now, when you're launching future campaigns, again, you don't have to add that embed code again. You just set the campaign to live. And because that embed code is on that site, the campaign will have permission to display there. So let me refresh this a couple times again, trying to just get that caching to break. I know it's been a problem for me on previous demonstrations. So we set that campaign to appear when the visitor had scrolled 50% of the page. So let me refresh again. And I promise for you, you would not have to refresh this number of times in order to get it to appear. But like I said, I know that I have some caching here that makes it to where it's hard. So there we go. And just like that, in less than, I think I timed it, and I think that was 6 minutes total, even with me explaining all of that, we created a beautiful opt-in without needing a coder or a graphic designer that lets you compete with the big guys. It lets you place your offers much the same way that Runner's World and Best Buy and BuzzFeed and Health Magazine might make the same types of offers to their visitors. So we'll go ahead and close that. And that's just easy it is to create campaigns using Opt-in Monster without needing a coder or a graphic designer. Opt-in Monster lets you do that. Lets you easily build opt-ins without a developer or a designer. And I love it. And the truth is, I can code. I've been doing this for about 15 years, but I love being able to get in and do it without having to mess around with the code or without having to go and create custom graphics for it if I don't want to. I can grab some stock imagery from Pexels or Burst or something like that, add it, change the text, and I very quickly am able to make very lovely offers on my sites using Opt-in Monster without a coder or graphic designer. Secret number 3 is behavioral targeting. This is how you explode your list by going smaller and not bigger. Now, just as a reminder, behavioral targeting personalizes campaigns based on the actions readers take on your website. It's not just you shoving a lightbox pop-up in their face and hoping that they want to subscribe to your list for tips and tricks. Instead, you're paying attention to what do your visitors read on your site, what are their actions on the site, and you're targeting your campaigns based on those behaviors. Here's an example. Oliplant.gr is a Greek website that publishes content about gardening and growing fruits and vegetables, but they also have a store on their site where they sell seeds and books and things like that related to gardening and growing. They increase page views. Now, in this case, we're not focusing just on the subscriber list. We're talking about page views. They increased page views on their site 157% using a yes/no opt-in. And here's what it said. This is in Greek, but I wrote the case study on this, so I know what it says. It appeared on any article in the strawberry category. And it said, basically, do you like strawberries? Would you like to read some more about growing strawberries? And if you clicked the red yes button, it directed you to the strawberry category archive on their site. If you click no, it just closed the campaign. Think about this for a second. This is considering the needs of your visitors, right? This is paying attention to what they're reading and saying, you know what? The person who's reading an article about strawberries is very likely interested in more articles about strawberries. So instead of just letting them leave after reading one article, let's just ask them, would you like to read some more? And yes, and they increase page views 157% by doing this on various articles on their site. Now, if you're someone who relies on affiliate income or ad revenue on your site, you know that increasing page views is huge. The more you can get someone, not just for affiliate marketers and ad sites, but the longer you can get someone to stay on your site, the more likely they are to see your offers the number of times that they need to make a decision and to be educated along the way about what it is you're offering enough to make a decision and opt in or make a purchase along the way. 157% just by doing that. Wouldn't you like, to leave the webinar, go home today and create one opt-in or two opt-ins that are just this simple and increase your page views 157%? I think that's just fantastic. It's really one of my favorite case studies because of it. But that's not the only display rule that they could use, is exit intent on particular pages. We've talked about that a little bit. They can display it based on the time that the person's been on the page. So the person who's been on your page for 10 seconds is very different than the person who's been on your page or site for a minute, right? Very differently engaged. You can display a campaign on exit. You can display when the person has scrolled a certain percentage, and these can be combined. These display rules can be combined. So think about this as you think about behaviors of your visitors. The person who has been on your page for 7 seconds and scrolled 70% of your page is very different than the person who scrolled 70% of your page but has been there for a minute, right? The person who scrolls 7 seconds, what are they doing? They're just they're skimming. They're not paying attention. Either you didn't capture them with your copy, or they didn't find what they were looking for when they're just skimming that page or that product or article. But the person who's scrolled 70% and they've been there for a minute, they're reading, right? They're paying attention. They're engaged. So the offers that you trigger for those two people can be very different. For the first person who's there for 7 seconds and scrolled the whole page, you can make an offer, something like, hey, did you not find what you were looking for? And show a link to your contact form. Is there something we can help you with? Something along those lines. For the person who's been there for a minute and they're really reading your content, you can show them an offer along the way. You can use monster links, which we talked about. Those are images, buttons, or links within a page or an article or product that when you click it, it launches your opt-in campaign. You can display articles based on visitors' date and time. This is really powerful, especially with the holidays coming up, right? So you can schedule campaigns to only appear on certain dates. So if you are focusing on Black Friday, Cyber Monday, Christmas, hangover holiday in January, if you're focusing on those, schedule your campaigns ahead of time to appear only on certain dates and times, and set it and forget it. And you walk away and your campaigns are just running, presenting timely offers all throughout the holiday season. And then inactivity. So this one's particularly good for mobile, but it also works on desktop. So if someone's on their phone, right, and they're scrolling, and then they stop and they put their phone down and they aren't clicking on anything, they're not scrolling, they're inactive for a certain number of seconds or minutes, then show a pop-up. And we even have pop-ups that like make noises and wiggle or have what we call monster effects associated. Do what you need to do to get that person's attention and say, hey, I noticed that you stopped scrolling. Did you not find what you were looking for? Or here's a coupon. Go ahead and check out now, something along those lines. And activity is a great sensor like in that way. And then the where triggers. So you can set a campaign to display only on specific pages of your site. You can set it to display only when the visitor has viewed a certain number of pages. You can set it to appear for new visitors or returning visitors. And again, these can be combined with other display rules. Only when they've interacted with the campaign. I love this one. Especially for those of you who you're a little more experienced already in email marketing. This is a great one for you to take advantage of. So let's say campaign A appears. You have campaign A right here. And the visitor, and maybe it's like for free shipping. Let's just make that example. It's for free shipping. And the visitor closes it. They don't take your offer. That doesn't mean that they're not interested in buying from you. It just means that free shipping was not the offer that would catch them. So if the visitor has closed campaign A or ignored it, show campaign B instead. Maybe campaign B, after 3 page views, is an offer for 10% off or something along those lines. You can also do it like this. Let's say that campaign A was for coupons to buy a shoe. Okay, so they converted campaign A. They took whatever campaign A was. Maybe campaign B is, would you like to buy some socks along with your shoes? So using the interacted with campaign rule is a very powerful way to move people through your offers without showing the same offer over and over and over again. You can display campaigns based on location. So the person who, I love this example. Let's say that you're an outdoor sporting store or even just a travel company, okay? So the campaign that you display talking about outdoor sporting gear to someone who lives in a snowy climate during December versus the outdoor gear that you would display to someone who lives in a sunny, warm climate during winter, two different things. Don't show the person who lives in the sunny, warm climate snow boots, because that's not what they need. Show them the kayak, because they can still, in December, they're still out on the water. And that location targeting, geolocation, lets you do that. And then traffic source. You can display campaigns based on the site that sent someone to your site. And you can do this a couple ways. You can do this with just the straight URL. So you can say if someone came from Facebook, display this particular campaign. But you can also do it with the UTM parameters. So again, this is a little advanced tracking, but for those of you who know what it is, it allows you, especially if you're doing like Facebook advertising or Google AdWords or display advertising of any kind, pay-per-click advertising, it allows you to take your UTM link, that very specific link, and target the individual segments of it. So you can say if the UTM source was Facebook, then display this. If the UTM campaign was holiday snowflakes, then display this matching campaign. It allows you to get very granular and connect your external marketing campaigns to the offers that you're making on your website. Here's another example. IamSource.com increased conversions 6,500% by just doing that thing that we've already talked about, that very simple thing of paying attention to the content the visitor is reading and making an offer based on that content. So they are a site that talks about all sorts of different internet marketing methods, and they targeted the affiliate marketing articles on their site with an affiliate marketing lead magnet. And doing that by going through each category of their site, targeting the lead magnet to that category, they increased conversion 6,500%. That's pretty big. Secret number 3 is behavioral targeting. Don't waste your time or money filling your funnel with unfocused leads. You've got to build a targeted list. If you're the new person here and you're just getting started, get started with a targeted list in the first place. If you're someone who you've been around, you're done email marketing for a while, maybe your list is right now just one big group. It's one big list. You need to start segmenting your list. And maybe you've been around and you're already doing some segmenting. This is my encouragement to you to get really specific with it and really pay attention to what your visitors are doing using behavioral targeting. Does that sound like that could work for you? Like if you could do those 3 things, if you could opt-in hack, you could get readers begging you to let them on your list using these opt-ins where the visitor request to be on your list. They click something to ask you to be on your list. Secret number 2, opt-in monster. That you can go and then quickly and easily build those campaigns just like I showed you, place them on your site and be on your way. And then if you can explode your list by going smaller, really paying attention to the details of what your visitors are doing and not just trying to get everyone on one great huge list. Do you think if you could do those 3 things that you could begin to see your visitors grow, your subscribers grow, like these case studies that we've talked about along the way? I know that you could. I know this can work for you if you'll try it. My promise to you today when we started was that the only way to build a 6-figure list was with behavioral targeting. If you try to just throw generic pop-ups at your visitors, you will not grow a 6-figure list. You just won't get there. It's not personal enough. It doesn't connect enough with the visitor, and it's more about you than it is about them. You will not get to the 6-figure list without using behavioral targeting. But the best and easiest tool for behavioral targeting is clearly Opt-in Monster. So what I want to do now is talk to you a little bit about Opt-in Monster. If you're still here, if you're still with us, and you say, you know what, this sounds great, I want to do this, then Opt-in Monster is the best tool to do it. So let's talk about that just a little bit. Urban Southern is a leather handbag company. They used Opt-in Monster to display a campaign on Exit that just said something along the lines of, thanks for visiting us today. Would you like a 10% coupon? And added 2,100% growth to their email list with that exit intent campaign. Advisor Coach is a site that teaches financial advisors how to market themselves online. That's pretty specific, right? They grew their list 350% by paying attention to the fact that their visitors were coming from mobile devices. And so they wanted to make sure the campaigns they displayed were targeted to mobile visitors, and they grew their list 350% by doing that. SaltStrong kind of had a similar issue. They looked at back in I think it was January of this year, Google said that they were going to begin penalizing sites that had pop-ups appearing for visitors on mobile devices. And Saltstrong got so scared of that penalty that they, using their previous opt-in service, they turned it off altogether. They were so scared of being penalized in search that they turned off their lead generation altogether. But they heard that Opt-in Monster opt-ins don't get penalized, and they wanted to know why. So they came to us and asked us. We told them, here's how you display pop-ups for mobile devices without getting penalized. And they were able to start with Opt-in Monster, turn their pop-ups back on, and not only did they not get penalized, they grew their list 185% as a result of using those mobile specific campaigns. Opt-in Monster works, and it works for everyone. The beginners can use Opt-in Monster to start out on the right foot, and you experienced publishers, you can use Opt-in Monster to really laser focus your marketing efforts. And it works today. If you subscribe to Opt-in Monster today, we're going to send you emails and documentation and video about exactly where to place your opt-ins today and which ones to start with, and we'll show you step by step. And you get access to our great support team who, if you have a question along the way, just reach out to them. Their typical response time is less than an hour, which is really good. Less than an hour, they'll reply to you and get you on your way. But we know it's not just about using the software itself. The software itself, Opt-in Monster, today in this less than an hour, we've talked about exit intent, full screen and Lightbox and on-site retargeting. We've talked about the follow-up campaigns, which is campaign A appears, then you show campaign B, slide-ins, floating bars, yes/no forms, geolocation. We've talked about all of this, but it's not even all of what Opt-in Monster can do. I don't have time to show you all in one webinar. And even if I did, your eyes would be glazing over by the time that we were done. Opt-in Monster is so much more than just what we talked about today. If you had to go and hire someone, if you had to say, you know what, I want even like 3 campaigns, 3 Lightbox campaigns on my site that are connected to my email marketing platform and that, are also integrated with Google Analytics, you would easily pay $5,000 to have someone do that for you. But we know it's not just about the software itself. We know also that you need to know how and why do you use Opt-in Monster in your business. Not just how do you use the software, but how do you use this in your business. And for that reason, when someone subscribes to Opt-in Monster, we give you access to a private Facebook group where you can come in and you can talk to me. I run the group. The rest of our growth team is in there, as well as literally, I think we're at close to almost 2,000 people now. 2,000 experienced marketers are in that group for you to bounce your ideas off of. And if you knew the names of some of the people that are in that group, you would join just to get access to that group, just to be able to say, hey, what do you think of this campaign I'm thinking about launching? Or can you help me look at, what do you guys think about my funnel right now? And how I'm moving people through to a sale. Do you see areas that I can improve? Or like yesterday, people were sharing places where they get their stock photos. Just, it's a place where you can stop doing this alone. I know that a lot of you who are here today, you're the person in your circle who's entrepreneurial. You're the person in your circle that gets really excited about how you are moving yourself and your family forward by marketing online. And a lot of you don't have people that you can go to and say, hey, I'm really excited about this idea I'm going to test on my website. What do you think about it? You can do that in the inner circle. And that is included with an Opt-in Monster subscription at no extra cost. But that circle is very much like a private mastermind. You can come in and you could say, you know what, here are my goals, here are my blockers. How can I get past those blockers? And if you had to pay for a mastermind like that, it'd be $1,200 a year easily, $100 a month. The value of that alone is worth $1,200. But we're also giving you that template library, right? So all of those pre-designed templates, which also include some holiday specific campaigns for the holidays coming up, like Black Friday and Halloween tomorrow. If you market for that segment, Christmas, Cyber Monday, there are holiday specific campaigns within Opt-in Monster, or you can take any of the pre-designed templates and add some imagery that makes them holiday specific, and as well Canvas, which lets you create entirely custom opt-ins. We have designers who just sit around creating collections of themes for you. And on top of that, these themes are proven. We use these themes on our own products. So WP Beginner and WP Forms and Monster Insights and List 25. And back when we owned Envira and Soliloquy, we use these products ourselves and know that these configurations, these convert the best. And if you had to hire someone like we have to go and create these campaigns for you, dozens and dozens of campaigns, designers, they're an expensive bunch, and you pay well. You pay a premium for the better ones. These template libraries would easily be worth $3,000 if you were to build them yourself. But now we're also going to give you these bonuses when you subscribe to Opt-in Monster today, and they're important bonuses. Here's why. The first one is finding and targeting your ideal audience. So this whole webinar, we've talked about paying attention to the behaviors of your visitors. You can't do that if you don't first know who are your visitors. Finding and targeting your ideal audience will help you define who's coming to my site, what are their goals, what are their needs, so that you can then turn around and make offers that are specific to those. And I used to do a workshop like that with companies and charged a whole lot more than $500 for it. I will tell you that. And one of my favorite things to do, really. So I know that workshop, what you're doing, you're on your own in this workbook, is worth at least $500. And then the 63-point checklist. This is for when you're launching campaigns. This walks you through every little thing that you need to do in order to launch a new campaign. And it's born out of our own experience, really. So we know that when we, well, isn't this really just how lists get created in the first place? Checklists, like you do something and you think to yourself, oh, I want to make sure that I don't make that mistake again, so I'll go add it to the list so that the next time we go through this process, we make sure we do that thing that we forgot to do this time. So that's kind of how this list got started. It's the same list that we use internally here at Opt-in Monster when we go to create new campaigns. And it's just the time that we would save you from making one of the mistakes in this campaign is worth $99. Your time is worth this amount just so that you don't make this mistake again. And then this last one, I love this last one. It's called Growth Hackers Insights, and it's dictated to us directly from Syed himself. And Syed, in case you don't know, is one of Forbes' top 30 under 30. It's not often that you get a chance to sit down with someone like that and get their insights on how they grew their businesses along the way. But the Growth Hackers Insights will do that for you. And here's why this is important, because right now, the traffic that's coming to your site right now, if it's not targeted, if you're not using behavioral targeting to really segment those visitors based on their needs, that traffic's kind of wasted. What I want you to do instead is learn how to use behavioral targeting using the methods that we've talked about to make sure that the traffic that comes to your site is captured and is converted. Then after you've done that, then you come back and use this Growth Hackers Insights to learn how to really explode traffic to your site, because then you know the traffic coming to your site, you're treating it well, you're treating it with care. And that, I mean, really, I'm not even sure that you could get a call with Syed, but if you did, it probably would cost well in excess of $700 an hour to sit down and get that same information. So we're looking at $10,499 for Opt-in Monster. So let's talk a little bit about what this would be worth to you if it worked for you. If you were to able to increase your lists, let's say 1,000 subscribers using Opt-in Monster, which you've seen from some of these case studies, that's totally not out of the question, right? To easily increase your list that much. And 10% of those people bought a $47 ebook. Maybe you don't even sell ebooks. Maybe you sell quilts or blankets or something like that. Or consulting. This is just an example. Roll with me here. 10% of those people bought a $47 ebook. We're looking at $470 that we've added to your bottom line. But that's obviously still kind of far away from $10,499, right, Angie? So what if, though, 100 of those ebook buyers turned around and bought your next offer in, which maybe that's a $497 course or a subscription to your accounting services for a year, something along those lines. Now you're getting into $4,000, $5,000. And what you can do now, again, because you're now treating this traffic properly and you know how to use behavioral targeting to move people through your funnel, then you can use that Growth Hackers Insight to add more traffic into that funnel. So instead of 1,000 subscribers from your existing traffic, you increase your traffic and now you get 2,000 leads in, which then just bumps up the whole thing and helps you multiply the effect of using OptiMonster throughout your funnel. For a total value of $10,499, you could be doing this already. So we could offer OptiMonster at this price, right? We could say $10,499, and we know that if we do that, only a few people will be able to buy it. The price really, really low, or maybe even free, like some of our competitors. And we know that everyone would be able to get it. But really, neither one of those options work for us. And here's why. Because at Awesome Motive, which is the company that our parent company across all of our products, we exist to help the small business compete with the big guys. Our mission is to help you win and win more often by competing with the big guys. We create tools that help small businesses like yours to compete with the big guys. And if we price it at $10,499, then we're going against who we say we are. And we can't offer it dirt cheap because that doesn't give us the resources to maintain our position as the lead generation software to beat in the marketing sector. So we can't do that either. I'm sure that you understand that. We want to maintain our position. It takes resources in order to do that. So for an OptiMonster subscription, you get the OptiMonster software itself, you get the Facebook group, the template library, user personas, the list building checklist, the growth hackers insights, and all of that together provides the value to you of $10,499. But of course, that is not how much it costs because that's not who we are and that's not our mission. OptiMonster costs $348 a year, and that's for our Pro subscription. That's our very best plan. It has all of our features in it at the very best price. And if you subscribe using the button over on the right that says join now or using optinmonster.com/webinar, I will add an additional 20% off of that price for your first term. So that's your first month or your first year, depending on how you subscribe. The buttons join now in optinmonster.com/webinar will automatically add a Pro annual subscription to your cart with that 20% off, and you can just be on your way, check out, and then get started using OptiMonster today. If you decide that that's not an offer for you and you want to take a look at some of our other plans at optinmonster.com/pricing, here's what I want you to do, and I'll write it over in the chat just so that you don't lose it along the way. I want you to use the coupon code Angie for any purchase that you make at OptiMonster. That will add 20% off to your cart. I think that the best option for you is Pro Annual because it does include all of the features that we've talked about today, more even, and at the very best price. But the coupon code Angie, just make sure that that's added to your cart, and you'll get that 20% off of your first term no matter what. So I know some of you already, you're like $348 a year. Angie, that seems kind of expensive. I bet I could find some competition of yours that will offer it to me for less. And I want you to know I've done some of the legwork for you. So let's talk about it. OptiMonk is one of our primary competitors. They cost $199 a month, and we cost $348 a year. And I'll give you 20% off of your first term if you purchase today. Just Uno is $399 a month. We're $348 a year plus 20% off of your first term. And then Sleek Note is $599 a month. And Sumo Me, to get the same page views, number of opt-ins, number of sites, accounts, and features that we offer in this Pro plan for $348 a year. Okay, have you ever heard the saying that if you go into a restaurant and the price is not on the menu, that you probably can't afford the menu? If you have to ask the price, you probably can't afford it. That's how this is. You can't even get pricing on their website. You have to request a custom quote in order to get those same features that we offer for $348 a year. And you can purchase OptiMonster today at optinmonster.com/webinar or using the Join Now link over on the right, which will add to your cart automatically a Pro annual subscription with 20% off. Now, if you, like I said, if you say, I don't want a Pro annual subscription, for some reason you don't need that right now, that's okay. Just make sure that you use the coupon code Angie during your checkout and you'll get 20% added to your cart no matter which plan or plan type you purchase. But $348 a year for Pro is our absolute best. It is the least expensive compared to the monthly plans, and it has the most features. And by the time you add that 20% off today. I think it's like $276, which is really fantastic, especially compared to our competitors' pricing. Ours is that would be $276 a year for the first year, and then $348 every year after that. And there's our per month almost that much or more. So if you're still here at this point, you have two choices, right? You can do nothing. You don't have to subscribe to Opt-in Monster right now. You don't have to do behavioral targeting, and you don't have to grow your list. You can take the information that you learned today and walk away and do nothing with it, perhaps like you've done before. That is a choice. Or you can try it and see for yourself. You could get started with Opt-in Monster today at optinmonster.com webinar, or using the Join Now link over to the right. But you might also say, well, what if I try it, Angie, and I don't like it? Well, we have a 14-day money-back guarantee, no questions asked. If you try it and within the first 14 days you don't like Opt-in Monster, just shoot us an email through support and say, I think you stink. I want my money back. And we will give you your money back, no questions asked. I don't think that you will need to do that. I think that if you will get started using the information that we send you right after you subscribe, that you won't need to. You'll begin to see results and you won't need that. But it's there as a guarantee. We promise if you don't like Opt-in Monster within the first 14 days of using it, we will refund your money entirely without any questions asked. So just to review one last time, we're going to take questions in just a second. Just to review what you get when you subscribe to Opt-in Monster. You get the Opt-in Monster software itself with all of those powerful page display rules and targeting. You get the Inner Circle Facebook group. You get the template library. You get creating user personas, the list building checklist, and Growth Hackers Insights. And all of these things together, if you were to go and try to create all of this yourself, would be worth well over $10,499. But today it's $348 a year. And if you subscribe using optinmonster.com/webinar or the Join Now link over to the right, I'll add to your cart a pro annual subscription with 20% off your first term. So that first term would be your first year in this case. If that's not the plan for you and you want to go look at the pricing page, that's totally okay. Just make sure that you use the coupon code Angie to get that 20% off. I want to make sure that you get that gift from me personally to you, no matter what plan you subscribe with. So we're going to go ahead and take questions right now. Let me turn my screen back on. Oh,